What's up, everyone? Today is April 5th, 2019, and this is more like a continuation from yesterday about compassion. Um, Compassion is a really interesting subject to me because um, I know when I was a kid, I had compassion for my parents, but it wasn't always fully realized or known. What I mean by that was um, I know that my parents loved me. Um, I know that the things that they did for me growing up were completely supportive, but I'm not sure if there was a full like compassion. And you know, look, what I'm really trying to say here is you know, my parents did their best for me, for what they knew at the time, because they did their best, right? And whether there was compassion or empathy or understanding or whatever it is, whatever we're supposed to do as parents to support our kids as best as possible, we're all trying to do our best and as best as possible. Now, granted, we have more information today, we have more connections today, um, we have more availability to reach out and search and ask questions, and more opportunities to create different communities, if you will, um, than my parents had, or the last, two generations, or whatever it was, right? But point is that we have more opportunity today. The opportunity is actually, I feel like, 1,000 times more. I mean, it's actually probably more, like probably 10 to 20, 100,000 times more right now. So, and that's just because of the internet, and we have so much more information, right? So, saying all that, I love my parents. I love what they taught me. I love what the lessons I learned. And saying that, I know what I don't want, and I know what I want to keep to be able to support my own kids, right? So for me, compassion is interesting. It's an interesting subject. Like um, empathy and compassion, like they go hand in hand, right? And each one is an element to be concerned with somebody else's suffering, some way, shape, or form, right? So, sometimes I think the way I might have been raised was slightly confusing to me. So I was like not really fully sure of where my parents were coming from, which is hard to gauge, because when not having clarity growing up, or not having the opportunity to fully express yourself, and then feel like you're fully nurtured and supported in a way, it's hard to find the compassion towards it. So what I'm having trouble now is in my life today, I'm finding it. I'm not talking about over extreme compassion. I'm just having. I'm just talking about like compassion in general. Um, Sometimes I don't feel bad for someone, and I don't know what that is. Sometimes I don't. I don't know. I don't know what that is. I don't feel need to feel bad about somebody for somebody. And one of the biggest lessons is that I learned growing up was that's either none of my business or or you know don't feel bad about somebody because there's nothing to feel bad about. But I think there's an element in that where it seems incorrect because now it just seems kind of cold when I'm saying that out loud. And I'm not saying that you need to feel bad about someone or okay, so this is an example that came up for me. So about a week ago, my wife was walking our son, and it's probably like 6:30 at night. The sun was still out, and they were in this neighborhood, and there was this guy who was kind of knocking on the neighbor's door, and the neighbors, kind of looked out her window. This is all from her point of view, by the way, my wife's point of view. Looked out the neighbor's door, and the neighbor kind of just like, no, I'm not interested. And the guy approached my wife, and apparently he was like a book salesman or something, right? Some type of salesman. And they were having, I guess, this conversation, but the whole time, the salesman was kind of throwing out like, you know, sympathetic, like guilt comments, like because I guess he saw that she was walking her kid, and so he was sort of like throwing out guilt statements like, oh, I wish I can get home fast because my kid's waiting for me and I'm not making enough money because and how am I going to support my kids and all that, and although it's okay to hear this person and understand this person, but there's a certain limit where I personally feel like that if you're a salesman and you have a job to do, your job isn't to guilt people into getting more sales. Your job is to do your best to make a sale, and if that doesn't work, you move on, but not by using a guilt tactic, right? So, to me, when she told me the story, it just sounded very manipulative, and in my eyes, if I were in that situation, I would automatically just shut the person out of that and just tell them, look, thank you for sharing, I'm not interested, and move forward, right? But here's where the compassion comes in, obviously you got to have your street smarts, kind of size up the person and really listen to what the person is actually saying. And you got to look at the whole situation. And for me, it's all about sizing people up in a way, right? And I don't want to say that I don't have compassion for that person because I wasn't there in that situation. All I'm saying is that um, I don't personally do well when somebody, or I sense somebody that is throwing guilt, you know, tactics, and or being manipulative, right? So, but my wife was, uh, stayed an extra little beat or two because she felt sort of bad, and I think feeling bad is not the best way to have compassion because then we're all doing things out of guilt. I think I'm actually answering my own question right now. So I think compassion is definitely a concern for other people's struggle and being there to support them best as possible. But when a person might get manipulated, then the question for me is, do you still continue to have the passion for that person, and do you stop it? Do you end that, saying, look, I'm not going to be here, I'm not going to get manipulated, or do you have that patience? And that's an interesting question for me. Very interesting question. Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah, I think that's it. I think that's it. I'm going to have to reflect on this. Um, Guys, if anybody has any comments and they want to share their thoughts and stuff, please reply in the thread below. And I'd like to have this dialogue with you and see your perspective on all this. All right. Have a great night. Talk to y'all tomorrow. Thanks for joining me on this 365 day video journal journey. Bye-bye.